Good evening. Ho 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 ho. It's a spooky Tuesday, which I like to call Thursday, and you're listening to me talk about pizza and ramen on the Melovania Mallrooms. Get in the car. We gotta go do Castlevania 4 again. We're gonna go walk through Castlevania 4 again. Get the volume down. I don't have as much time as I wish I had, so we're gonna see how far I can get into Castlevania 4 in 15 minutes. I got the craving to, I guess I have an emotional connection between this game and Pathfinder now. I'm hopping on a call for a Pathfinder tabletop role-playing thing in a couple minutes, but this morning, I got the craving to just not play CV4, but do mall slop with it. I'm like, I don't want to play this game. I only want to make mall slop with it. I need to have it as like half. It is an incredibly good use of half of your brain, but not your full brain. Like any other Classicvania, I'm gonna be too locked in. I want to just like ramble and play Castlevania 4 again. And I just finished an hour and a half of plunging through the Kid A Amnesia exhibit, the final half. The first half was cute. The first half was like discovering the basic stuff, noticing the minotaurs, kind of, getting my bearings, and it had a very sweet ending with whatchamacallit, I'm not here, this isn't happening, how to disappear, and everything like that. Very sweet ending. This one is a lot creepier. I was like hunting desperately for all the content I could find. And then I probably found it all. I don't really know. But, God, I found some things. There's like a 10-minute segment dedicated to just like such a deeply odd, like intentionally creepy thing. Not like super freaky, but you know. The reason Radiohead has the reputation it does. Just, okay, yeah, this sure is how Kid A and Amnesiac feel. But anyhow. That's enough of that. One of the greatest things I will ever chuck on this channel. Time for the second greatest thing I'll ever chuck on this channel, which is I wanted to talk about pizza, and then I ate ramen, and I said I'm going to talk about ramen and pizza. I have lived in Japan for 2.5 years now. I'm ready to leave. I mean, honestly, no. At this point, I do really want the next couple years that I'm planning to spend here. It's going to be tricky. Got to renew my visa soon. That should be the easy part, at this current job at least. But, yeah, I wanted to go home to America. But now it's like, okay, I have a chance to hit some really, really major, like, lifetime milestones with my Japanese, which is my professional skill. And, I think, assuming, subtext, we don't lose America, assuming America is a place I can go, I want to go home and stay home after this. I don't want to have regrets. So a couple more years, get it all out of my system, basically. Anyhow, food has been really interesting. A lot of people say white people don't have culture, and we don't. But I think once you have all of your food taken away, you realize that every person, whatever you are, wherever you live, food is culture, and you do have some manner of culture. American culture, American food, you might not think. Most people, I think, would assume there's not really much there. Like, what is American food? Like hamburgers and milkshakes? Or like, oh, it's Southern soul food. Well, I don't live in Alabama. I've never had Southern soul food. Bring me the Massachusetts soul food. Oh, clam chowder, lobster. Other places have that. But basically, just, full on, like, changing your whole cuisine, you will realize, like, oh, I didn't realize how much having a taco place I go to every 2 months does for my psyche. I didn't realize how much I needed McDonald's. Actually, I started boycotting McDonald's around the time I came here because of Free Palestine and all that stuff. I boycotted Disney. That one's getting harder. Starbucks, cut it out of my life. And McDonald's, which I only go to if like friends are going, basically. Anyhow, that's been a good boycott. But no, like driving versus taking trains. Of course, the more I live here, the more I realize not everybody has the, image you have in your mind of like, oh, Japanese people on their trains in their big city job. Like, no, even in a city that is anything less than subway connected monstrosity, people need their cars. People definitely do. But not having a car has meant that I don't have drive-thrus. Of course, there are drive-thru here, but I don't have a car, so I don't have drive-thrus. And gas station snacks. Like, konbinis in Japan are kind of famous because, like, 7-Eleven is like a whole different animal here. Convenience stores are this whole thing where everywhere you go, like anywhere that's even remotely urban, or even remotely a city or town, you will find just like the most convenient, high quality, clean, well-stocked variety of just amazing shit where it's like you can easily not go 3 meals of a day and snacks and dessert on these places compared to American 7-Eleven, which is just like cigarettes. But I do miss the cigarette stand, and I immediately did. Honestly, when I was really homesick, one of the biggest things I was craving in my like irrational first 2 months of homesickness was, oh my god, I just want to get gas and grab a Snapple and a Snickers bar. We do have Snickers bars here. Which American candies are here? It's a whole topic, but we do have those. But it's not the same. I want to go in, I want to buy a Snapple, I want to get back in my car, and I want to drive my car, my freedom car. Anyhow, nothing hit worse than pizza. I felt it immediately, and it has been a factor as long as I have been here. And it's been a kind of a dramatic thing because pizza is such good comfort food. Pizza is such good comfort food. And the way that pizza is set up in America is just not quite the same here. Putting aside the flavors and stuff, delivery pizza is just not as much of a thing. Like it is here, you know, like Pizza Hut, Domino's, like the American chains have their delivery people. But like, I have to do Uber Eats if I want delivery from most places. Maybe it's just where I live, I don't know, but... Where's my freaking sub? There we go. Oh, it's so satisfying. You, sir, are going down. He's so funny. That was satisfying. I love Castlevania. Anyhow, yeah, like not being able to order a pizza on a Friday night, not being able to pick up a $18 large cheese with some toppings and shit and have it last for a couple days, just not having the basic structure of like delivery boys being like, oh, that'll be $17, not having the style of pizza that is a big factor, not having a pizza place on every block, not having a pizza place like always around the corner, some shitty little pizza place. That is what I miss. When I went home for Christmas just almost 2 years, I guess, yeah, 2 years ago, when I went home for, one year ago, a year and some change ago, when I went home for the first time for a couple weeks, I was like, my dream is to order a shitty-ass pizza from the nearest shitty-ass pizza place. I want to spend $18 on a large, which is admittedly a lot and probably not going to be that good. But that's what I wanted, and by golly, I did it. But if you want to know my honest opinion, the emotional aspect was there, and I was so happy to be spending time with the family members I was seeing. But the pizza wasn't quite that good. So when I got here, I hated Japanese pizza because it is not the same as American pizza. In fact, it's more European than anything. It's very small. It's very thin. I like thin pizza, that's for sure. But it's just so small. And cheese is just not that big of a deal here. There's just not a lot of cheese in traditional Japanese food. There's basically fucking none. There's like no cheese. That's just not a priority. And even in like foreign foods that have caught on, like, yeah, there are cheeseburgers, but that does not inspire one to get really fucking good cheese. So the biggest difference was like, size, and the cheese was just not fucking good. You don't realize like the basics of cheese. You don't realize just like the bog standard, like this tastes like cheese that you have in America until you leave it, or any country that has cheese, like as a major thing. Just the cheese here is so flavorless and like, I don't know what it is. It might even be salt. I don't even know what it is. There's just something that is missing from the cheese here because cheese is not that big of a deal. Of course, there are some places like, oh, well, like, Hokkaido has good cheese. Yeah, it does. But how often can you find a Hokkaido cheese pizza? Like, there are places that produce good dairy and good cheese, for sure. Always going to be exceptions and stuff, but that is not the norm. There is not a place on my block where I can buy a pizza, let alone a pizza that I would approve of, is what I would have said a while ago. I was craving my pizzas. I used to always get pizza for stream. Maybe that's why I've been consistently gaining weight for like 7 years. I loved my stream pizza. I loved it so much. I had my favorite place, and I can say this now. I try not to dox myself. I will not tell you what part of Japan I live in, except for vagueness. That frog did not deserve that. I try not to dox myself, but once I leave a place, it's like, oh, whatever, it's common knowledge. I went to UMass Amherst. I went to college in the Happy Valley area, the Pioneer Valley. It's a pretty nice place to go to college in Massachusetts. And in Amherst is the home of one Emily Dickinson. And I never actually went in the Emily Dickinson Museum. To be fair, COVID was happening for a lot of my time in college, but I never actually set foot in there. I never went on a tour. But there was a place across the street from Emily Dickinson's house, I shit you not, called Bruno's. And I learned about them because like my stupid fucking roommate I hated had like a thing from them because her and her boyfriend got a pizza from them or something like that. I don't fucking know. Like there was this Bruno's, this thing on my fridge, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Let me try it. And it was amazing. I made my first like connection with Bruno's when I was getting into Link's Awakening. It was this magical time where I just got Link's Awakening. I was just starting to realize how much I loved item progression and exploration. And I was still new to Zelda too. So it was like by far my favorite Zelda experience so far. One of my favorite gaming experiences ever, where I would just get my little pizza, my indulgent little cheesy bacon pizza. I would eat it in my dorm on like a Wednesday, and I would play Link's Awakening, just go over the whole map. I'd reheat the pizza from last night probably, go over the whole map, and I would take my item that I got and try to find where it worked. Like the only reason I wasn't annoyed to death by Link's Awakening and how tough it is was just because I was intentionally combing over every square of the map. And that taste of the pizza was so good. I never went back to getting that like indulgent like cheeseburger ass pizza that I used to get. Like I got it in a very small dose. It was manageable, and just the flavor was so good. So much good shit going on there. But yeah, big greasy wonderland for Link's Awakening. And then in grad school, I was still in the same area, so I would just get them in all different sizes for my early Melovania streams. So yeah, I kept going to Bruno's for years, actually. And we got Bruno's when I was living with Liz for a little bit during lockdown. So I had my pizza place. Was it a great, glorious, like high quality pizza place? No, but I liked it. And we don't have that in Japan. But one needs pizza. And when one needs pizza, one eats pizza. And when I eat to the pizza for a long time, I can adapt. I actually really like Japanese pizza now. Or European pizza, maybe. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that in around an hour. The time has come. Having too much fun. Now, where was I? One very fulfilling evening later. Yeah, Japanese pizza. It's my first death, isn't it? Or something like that. Okay. Japanese pizza is very small. The crust is also not very fluffy. It's most like a European Neapolitan pizza, or Neapolitan pizza, maybe. It's small and flat. And I used to think that this was the dumbest thing ever, because I want, like, well, sizable slices, you know? That's where, like, the food and then the being full comes from. But often, the default, well, nearly all the time, the default pizza is not cheese. The default pizza is margarita. And I said, what is a margarita pizza? I've never eaten a margarita pizza. This seems disgusting. This seems despicable, and I want it out of my face. I eat cheese pizza, pepperoni pizza, and maybe pineapple pizza if I want to really scare the hoes. And I looked it up, and margarita pizzas were the original pizzas. In Italy, they wanted to make a food that used the three colors of the Italian flag, white, red, green. So you have mozzarella, tomato sauce, and basil. Basil was always part of the pizza, but basil was forgotten over time. Now, I am a big pesto fan, and on the condition that pesto has basil in it, I like basil. I didn't used to like basil, but now I do like basil quite a lot. And the adventure I have had with pizzas in Japan is, I suppose, to be reductive. Quality over quantity, but really flavor. Flavor over quantity, because yes, it is hard not to have what I would consider a proper pizza slice. These are very small pizzas. These are literally like the only size you're getting for most places, except for like, I don't know, Papa Gino's. Or sorry, Pizza Hut. Papa Gino's is like my default chain pizza I think of, because I was a New Englander for my whole life, and I still am. I miss it a lot. That pizza had a proper size. I don't know what was up with that pizza. I think a lot of people found it gross, but I've always found it delicious. It's a shame they started to really shrink during COVID, I think. Yeah, maybe Pizza Hut or Domino's will have a large that's truly like large and wide, but no. The average Japanese place, a very small pizza. However, the flavor is so good because the baseline is margarita. So everything is like, you gotta have a number of toppings. You gotta have like options and stuff like that. Now, there are some Japanese flavors that I'm not used to. Teriyaki sauce is fine, but corn mayo is like the big thing. I think corn mayo, if it's not the size that scares Americans away from Japanese pizza, it is the corn mayo. That's like one of the number one most popular, like the number two popular pizza flavor. And I don't put mayo on pizza. Japanese mayo is real good, and I'm getting used to it in all kinds of unlikely places, but not there. Not there. Not on pizza. I've done it before with corn. Okay, corn is also quite out there for an American. That's not a common topping at all. I've done it with like teriyaki sauce. That's kind of good. I like that. Teriyaki corn mayo is fine, mostly because I'm not aware that I'm eating mayo the whole time. But that scares people away. But no, for me, it was always the size and kind of like the story I tell to kind of characterize how I view Japanese pizza is I went to a restaurant that was like there are a lot of like American otaku restaurants where it's like we love American burger and Americana, and it's all very like Route 66 themed, and those are good. They usually make a really mean burger. But I went to a place that was very classy and very like themed in a very specific kind of American culture. I can't say what it is because you can actually probably Google it pretty easily if I say it. It's so specific. But either way, the people who ran it spent time in America, and they had like a very particular image of like sophisticated American nightlife that they wanted to conjure. They have amazing like alcoholic milkshakes and stuff there, really good. But their pizzas. One of the first Japanese pizzas I tried after months and months of like, no, this is so small, and what is the margarita? I order a pepperoni pizza at this American place, and I'm like, okay, my vanilla milkshake was alcoholic, sure, but I'm sure the pepperoni pizza will be a pepperoni pizza. The pepperoni pizza, the sauce was stone ground mustard. You call that shit mustard pizza. Inside with the sauce, which again, I must remind you, was mustard with seeds still in it, delicious, but crazy, was also onions. There were onions underneath the cheese. The cheese had no flavor. The cheese was not a part of this, and the pepperoni was just tiny little pieces of sausage or whatever. This was a mustard pizza through and through, a mustard onion pizza. It is so funny to me that in Japan, these people, the people making this, who seem to know a lot about American cuisine, just like can't wrap their head around the basic bitch concept of cheese pepperoni. It's like, no, like pepperoni, sure, whatever. But if I'm giving you a pepperoni pizza, by golly, I'm gonna make you taste it. Again, this is a very fancy place. By golly, I'm gonna make you taste it. But mustard and onions inside, no red sauce, just mustard and onion and pepperoni. When the pepperoni is that small, it's a mustard pizza. So this to me gave me the image that Japanese people are very like flavor minded with pizza. I feel like that's a statement I'm going to make. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's this base assumption like you're gonna have fun with your damn pizza. If you make a pizza, you're gonna make it interesting. And I've had some weird pizzas, like Japanese Pizza Hut did like a sakura candy pizza where it was like, savory, I think red sauce and bread, or maybe just bread, and then like strawberry filling kind of to make like cherry blossom pink, and then like fried dough, powdered sugar. I'm suddenly not playing as well as I used to play as I played before. I had like this dessert ass pizza. It was very good. There's a lot of ambitious stuff, more ambitious stuff than I usually see in America for sure. And that gives me the impression that people, if they're gonna make a pizza, they're gonna make it very flavorful. And I have come to appreciate that. Honest to God, when I go back to America, like I will probably not be getting many pizzas that are just cheese. Though to be fair, I do get a buffalo mozzarella, a buffalo margarita cheese pizza at Caesarea. Caesarea is dog shit, to be clear. Caesarea is like when people talk about bad Italian food in Japan. It's just cheap, 200 yen, like $2 food. It's all watery, but there's like the faintest sense of actual cheese in there, which makes it better. So I guess, there's not like a lot of basil or anything in the buffalo mozzarella like cheese pizza. Like, okay, that is basically a cheese pizza. So there's that. It's even for a okay, here's the point. Even for a 200 yen pizza though, it's not just cheese. It's never just cheese. It's like fancy buffalo mozzarella cheese basically. Like it looks pretentious and fancy even though it's trying to be as bum basic simple as it possibly can be. I just moonwalked there. Even then it has this aura of like we're going to make something tasty and interesting. So Japanese pizza is ambitious, and I honestly like it a lot. I like the basil. I like the mozzarella. I like this shit. I've gone back to the roots. I've gone back to smaller pizzas. Not go back. I've traced history backwards to the Italian origins. I'm assuming that the small pizza came from is the Italian style. I believe people have told me that that is true. Oh, it's the boss fight time. I have gone back to the tomato, the mozzarella, the basil. It's all very good. I will always have American cheese pizza ingrained in my heart as like the gold standard in a chain like whatchamacallit, Italian Garden, something Miami Garden. Miami Garden it gives these little pizzas where it's like you can get like a small, basically just cheese. You probably will get something a little bit more exciting, but the cheese, I really went out of my way to die there. The cheese tastes like legit cheese, and it gives me that hit of like yes, because you know these pizzas are ambitious. They do not get the cheese correct, however. It's just not good cheese. But yeah, no, I Miami Garden is still like, okay, I'm back home. But honestly, I eat Japanese margarita pizzas all the time. They're so good. It took years, at least a couple years, but I've come around on them. And I don't know, why is that important? I just feel like pizza is such a goated comfort food. As I just went on a rant about, like, there are so many ways to make it. Like in America, I always think of like thinner pizzas, but even then, like, you know, in New England, went out of my way to die and lose this level. In New England, we had, I think, Italian style pizza, wide boy, thin boy. Chicago, you get like deep dish, right? I've only ever had deep dish at Pizzeria Uno's. I don't even know if that's still a chain. I think they're starting to die out, but Pizzeria Uno's was always a chain that was around in my suburby areas, and they had the deep dish. But even then, I didn't get deep dish often. Like that was their selling point. But I would get other things. It was just kind of like a, I don't know, family restaurant, whatever you call that, Applebee's tier. I got the deep dish once or twice, and I was like, ooh, the taste of Chicago. This is extremely heavy and difficult to eat, but I respect it because that's a style. Apparently, there's like a New York-Boston split on like crispy crust versus floppy crust. I genuinely couldn't tell you. I probably side with New York if New York is the crispy one, to be honest. But as long as it's thin, I love a thin pizza. That for some reason that and whatever the bog standard is for cheese in America, I like that. If I have that, I'm very happy. But then, where I grew up, the House of Pizza in town was Greek style. And I don't really like Greek style that much. Some of my friends really liked it, but it didn't quite hit for me. I can't even quite tell you what the difference is, but the crust felt very different. It wasn't like fluffy. It was kind of, I don't know, cakey? I don't know how to say it, but everything about everything about the Greek pizza at the House of Pizza was different. And I've never quite liked Greek pizzas that I've had. But even there's so much diversity, and they all fill the same role of like easily available comfort food. And I've gone on this rant now about pizza in Japan, and I like it a lot. But I've also been on a ramen kick here in Japan since like January, and I'm lucky that I'm going to have, knock on wood, all three of the famous ramens in the country. The famous ramens are one on the southern island, one on the northern island, and one in a very easy to get to location, not technically that far from Tokyo, just a little further north, up in Fukushima. I had Fukushima ramen when I was out skiing in Fukushima, and I went to Snow Festival this year. I feel like I could make a Miku video about that. It was quite special. And me and Liz had Sapporo ramen. That's one of the other famous ones. And I'm going to do a Zombieland Saga pilgrimage in June, which means I can eat the Kyushu Southern Island. That's not Southern Island. The southern chunk of the main archipelago ramen in Fukuoka. Those are the three big ones. And yeah, just kind of the way I planned my vacations this year. I got all three of them while I was on my ramen kick. And yeah, I've been eating some good ramen. I've been eating some really salty ramen, just some salty ramen from a chain restaurant where they cook it up real good. They have these thin slices of tonkatsu, and it's just the heaviest, thickest, just worst for you flavor ever. But goddamn, that sodium is good. It's just real good. And there's other ones that are lighter, brothier. I love spinach in my ramen. That's definitely a good show. When I make it at home, I put spinach in, and green onions are good to lighten it up. But for a while, at the end of the winter there, where I was just reaching for like emotional health food, it was that salty ass ramen that was good. But then what I really liked about the Fukuoka ramen was, or the Fukushima ramen was the noodles. They were a little bit like they had a little bit of a texture, not a texture, but they weren't just straight noodles. They were a little bit like wavy, making they were almost like chewy, a little bit chewy because they were like wavy in that way, like they weren't just a straight line. But then with that, you have lots of green onions, if I'm not mistaken. And there's something else. Maybe that one has corn, but I think corn is the Hokkaido one. I kind of forget what made me like. Well, I forget what makes the Fukushima ramen so distinct, but I feel like it was on the lighter side. I think it had green onions and then pork and maybe another cool ingredient. I'm not exactly sure. The thing with Hokkaido ramen, and this is crazy because in America, I was introduced to ramen flavors from instant noodles, which I will talk about in a minute. Instant ramen has flavors based on meat, which like pork, chicken, and beef are the popular ones, right? And then there's like vegetable and stuff. In Japan, it's not like that. It's pretty much just always pork. The flavor is either miso, shoyu or soy sauce, or oh man, it's not tonkatsu. Tonkatsu is maybe it is tonkatsu. That's pork. It's a kind of pork you put in there. There's miso ramen, shio ramen. Is it shio? Is it shio? Is it salt ramen? I know there's shoyu, miso, and a third flavor. But it's like, what is the broth kind of made out of, I guess? A miso soup. Famous ass soup right there. I think miso soup is the lighter one. I ate a lot of ramen. That didn't mean I comprehended a lot of ramen. But I think the miso is what makes the Sapporo and Fukushima ramen lighter and nicer. But that doesn't matter because when I went to Ramen Alley in Sapporo with Liz, it was really busy. But one place that had seating was this place that was like the chicken ramen or something like that. I could maybe put a picture and post here. It was like, we got the chicken ramen. And it was like this whole thing where they put like fried chicken, I think. I think it was like breaded chicken inside their ramen. And it was heavy. And I think I got it spicy, which was good. And I think my broth is a little bit creamy. So instead of being clear, it had like that nice, well, the creamy chicken ramen color from Maruchan in America. It had that cream color, you know the one, which was really nice. I think I just lost the sub weapon I needed for this fight. But yeah, it was really tasty, and yeah, the spice was good with the creamy, and the chicken was really tasty and crazy. And if there was corn in there, which I think there was, it was not the primary thing on my mind. It was certainly not. So that was delicious. I've had other crazy ones. Like I've had them with like regional like crackers. I've had like cracker ramen, like just straight up like crackers inside. It's not generally like that flashy and crazy, but it's a lot of little ways to do it. And I feel like ramen in Japan is kind of filling a lot of the void of pizza, because where pizza had the, order a pizza for you and the boys at your hangout and play video games till 2 a.m. vibe, ramen is like going to a ramen bar or a ramen shop just feels really cozy. In Persona 3. I can't believe I traveled all the way here to live in Japan and have my own life, and I have to cite Persona 3 to talk about Japanese culture. That's so sad. But it's true. I think they do a good job in Persona 3 capturing the feel of like a good like local ramen hole in the wall. There's that place that Aki and Shinji go to where it's like, oh, you gotta get this. It has a culture to it. I think like all the guys in town like to bring you there. It's like, oh, you gotta get the blah, blah, blah. Like this is the best. Like, oh yeah. And it's like, fuck you. It's like, oh, if you eat here, blah, blah, blah amount of times, like you can get the super special ramen. Like it has its own little culture. And there's all kinds of restaurants that are like that in Japan. Like there's all kinds of like street side, little like basically bar, kitchen, and then you sit down kind of places, but ramen is just especially like, get in here and eat. It's almost, the thing's kind of manly in a way. It's very just like, yeah. It's got a certain atmosphere. I don't know how to describe it to, honestly, for American culture, but there's some kind of warmth there. It's a thing. Going out for ramen is like a thing. Some restaurants don't have the vibe, but again, it's the fact that you can find a ramen place on every street corner in a city, and you can find them everywhere the way you could a pizzeria. And it's not takeout, but it has its own charm, so going out for ramen feels a lot like ordering pizza. And there's so much nuance. There's so many different ways you can do it. It's such a like everybody loves you kind of food. Of course, curry is my comfort food. Curry will always be my comfort food now. It's transcended just like my comfort food in Japan. I ate it in America too. Japanese curry is like my #1 favorite food. And that's its own story about like, you know, mix-ins and fix-ins and ways to customize it. But I don't know. I just think the constant presence of pizza places wherever you are in America for the most part, and ramen places in Japan, very similar. That's kind of the point of the video. I just wanted to kind of color that in. They're very good. Ramen, I don't think I like ramen as much as pizza, but I really am gonna miss it. Because, you know, in America, you can get good ramen, but it's like, Chef Cordon's specialty ramen. Yes, Chef Cordon traveled to the real Japan. Yes, the Tokyo. And he knows how to make the ramen. Oh, it's so special. And oh, you are so special for knowing it. Aren't you just so special, little girl? Yes, you are so special. Let me pet your head. Put it on the Instagram. Your relatives don't know about this place. You spend the $22 for the ramen. Like, it's just such a specialty thing. And in Massachusetts, at least. Maybe West Coast is like a totally different story, but in the West Coast, it's like, oh yes, I do know about the traditional Japanese meal of ramen noodles. Otherwise, you're literally eating maruchan, which is just a totally different animal. Yeah, Japanese pizza. Japanese pizza may be very different from American pizza, but at least it's comparable. Whereas college kid instant noodles are really their own thing compared to like proper noodles. Because again, if proper noodles were like the casual $10 on the street corner type of meal the way they are in Japan and America, that'd be different. But when it's $20 and you can only get it in Boston, and the only other alternative is 20-cent maruchan, which probably costs $1 now because it's the future, I don't know. Just vastly different. Vastly different philosophies. Everything about those meals is different. It does terrify people in Japan when you explain that there is a ramen that is nothing but noodles, no vegetables, no nothing, just literal noodles and flavoring. I'm like, yeah, it's basically a snack. It's basically a snack, and it's famous for college kids eating it because they're poor, basically. I do very, very much love instant ramen, though. I will always love fucking maruchan instant ramen, because even instant ramen in this country is different. Instant ramen is its own like good shit. Cup ramen's amazing. You do get people might be mad about me for saying this. In my mind, I picture maruchan noodle bricks, but there is cup noodle in America. In fact, I used to get Mike's Craft Ramen. Noreen might remember that, actually. I used to eat Mike's Craft Ramen in college because I was a Japanese studies major, so I got the good shit. But no, you'd spend like $5 on a can of this or whatever. And it was all like organic and healthy, and it had like real oil, real things to mix in, like dehydrated yatsu and that kind of thing. That is more comparable to a instant noodle from a convenience store. But the thing is, that costs like $5 or $6. Instant noodle, like from a convenience store, it's nothing. It's like getting a little sandwich or something from Dunkin' Donuts. It's just such casual food, and it's good. It's like has always like, you know, all the seasoning, oil, veggies, dehydrated meat, that kind of thing. Boy, dehydrated meat is a whole meat in Japan. Processed meat is a whole conversation too. It's just very different. But yeah, I just feel like American pizza and Japanese pizza, at least they're in like a similar ballpark with a very different angle. But ramen noodles are so different. I don't know. People seem to be all over Japanese cuisine. It's funny I go on this rant because, like, I could go on much less kind rants about Japanese food. It's good shit. It's good food. It's very good food. But it is hard not to see some, like, larger intercultural stuff there. The long and short of it is, like, Japanese food is so limited in its flavor. People are gonna kill me for this, but like there's like pickled stuff, Pickled stuff gives you a lot of flavors, but everything else is just like natural meat, natural raw meat, noodles, fried shit, soy sauce. Um, like the fact that there is a specialty sweet sauce to put on your fried breaded pork cutlets can be enough to warrant like its own local specialty, basically. The flavor bar is just so low, and everything is either like fresh, seaweed, or fried. It's just this very limited palette, and it's good shit. I wouldn't be like putting it in a negative light if it weren't for the intense national pride and like kids talking like, yeah, Japanese food is the most elite food in the world. And then like I hear about European chefs being like, Japanese food is the most elite food in the world. And it's like, who's paying you? Like, this shit is good. But what gets me is like, Japan is just such an asshole to its neighbors, Korea and China. And like, there's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of history. I know the history. I got a degree in this shit. I have friends all over the place in this shit. Like, I'm being as sensitive as I think is necessary. But it is very fair to say Japan is an asshole to Korea and China and constantly is so. And is always like, just always up their own ass, like, oh, poor us, like, we're so good, even though we're so, like, oh, poor little me, at least I have, like, the best fucking everything ever. Like, there's just so much pride. There's so much pride in this cuisine, even though, like, you know, a lot of it came from Korea and China thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, and it's good, glad, I'm very happy that you absorbed this stuff, it's great. But you couldn't have taken the flavor? Like, the thing with when I eat Korean or Chinese food compared to Japanese, it's the flavor. They understand sauce. They understand seasoning. They understand so many things that make a cuisine varied. Of course, they can have the simple stuff too and the more subtle, mature stuff. But, like, Japan just... I feel like there is a cultural stubbornness in, like, specifically not using all of the things that they could use to cook their relatively similar cuisine to Korea and China because they're so proud of their simple less is more approach, and it just is a very limited palette. It's good comfort food. It's very limited, and to be so narrow in your focus with like a national cuisine and be so proud of it. Be like, oh, well, we're better than our neighbors. They use those dirty sauces, those filthy freaks. Like, fuck off, man. Maybe your food could use a little sauce too. Ijo desu. I've eaten a lot of food in Japan. I've eaten a lot of food. A lot of my favorite food ever is Japanese. I love it very, very dearly. But when I go to a Mexican restaurant, and we do not have many around here, we are lucky we have one. Oh boy. Oh boy. Cheese, tortilla, corn, flavor. These are concepts that we just don't have in Japan. And again, I had takoyaki this week, some awesome fucking takoyaki. And you want to know what made it really good? Wasn't the sauce, wasn't the flavor, it was the subtlety of the breading. I do appreciate Japanese food for sure, but I just have a short fuse about nationalist superiority over this food that is intentionally a little handicapped when you borrowed ideas and then selectively stopped using certain ideas from Korea and China who you bully. Anyhow, Ijo, that's it. That's all. That's the whole rant. I love ramen though. It's good. It's my buddy. I had some good ramen. I had some good artisan craft Superboy ramen. It was like I went home for winter vacation. I came back and the teachers were like, "Do a presentation to the kids about your winter vacation." And that's always interesting to me as an assistant language teacher because it's like, this is just my life. Like, why is this interesting? They could talk about their winter vacations, but it's like, oh, it's America and anything in English is different and there's always going to be little culture shock things to learn. And I'm like, yeah, I had ramen. Guess the price. It was $23. But you know what I will say is the person who made that ramen in Salem, Mass had the same idea to put I think it was Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is also a Japanese thing in its own way. Kentucky Fried Chicken into the ramen. Like, this is Kentucky Fried Chicken ramen. It costs $23. Like, they put Kentucky Fried Chicken in the ramen? And now a year later I can be like, yeah, so did Joe. So did Jotaro from Sapporo at his chicken ramen place. It's good. Definitely have never seen beef ramen here. It's probably out there, but I think I've mostly only had that in the realm of Maruchan. Dear sweet Maruchan. This is a beautiful level. These colors are just absolutely splendid. I need to like go to bed and dry my hair. But this is so splendid. I gotta talk about beach pizza. That deserves its own video. Beach pizza is the best. Oh, this is just bad gameplay. This is just poor gameplay. Kind of nostalgic though. This is my first ever Classicvania session, was getting here and dying over and over again. I would have cooked this. I would have cooked this if it was a couple hours ago. Such a pretty game in its own way. I keep saying I don't like the visual style for this game, and I don't think that I do, but goodness gracious are some of the ideas really good. All right, I got an axe. I want to use it on the dragon. Oh god, I'm hungry. It's like almost midnight. I better go order a pizza. Ba 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 ba. Oh, that just... What even was that? What do we gain from that? Look at those pillars in the background. That's awesome. Nobody forced you to have those. Come on, bud. Get your axe. We're locking in. Do 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 do. Papa pizza, pizza pie. Papa pizza, papa pizza. Put it in your oven, put it inside. Put it in your oven and then you open wide. Ba 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 ba. I died. Ba 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 ba.